The Long Road Home. Chapter 7, Afghanistan. The heat in Afghanistan was a different kind of heat, dry, relentless, the kind that baked the earth until it cracked and turned the air into something sharp enough to breathe in wrong. Daniel had been deployed for 3 months, and still the landscape felt like another planet. Dust coated everything, the vehicles, the gear, the men, it clung to skin, to uniforms, to the inside of their lungs. Even the wind carried sand like a warning. Daniel sat on an overturned crate outside the barracks, cleaning his rifle with slow, practiced movements. The sun was sinking behind the jagged mountains, casting long shadows across the outpost. The sky glowed a deep, bruised red. Corporal Jennings dropped onto the crate beside him, wiping sweat from his forehead. "You ever get used to this place?" Daniel shook his head. "Not really." Jennings chuckled. "Didn't think so." They worked in silence for a moment, the rhythmic click of metal on metal filling the air. Daniel found comfort in the routine. It reminded him of chores back home, mending fences, oiling tools, fixing what needed fixing. The army wasn't so different. Just the stakes were higher. A group of soldiers played cards nearby, their laughter echoing across the yard. Others wrote letters, cleaned weapons, or stared off into the distance, lost in thoughts they didn't share. Sergeant Miller approached, clipboard in hand. "Hail, Jennings. Briefing in 10. Daniel nodded, snapping his rifle back together with a final click. Jennings groaned. "Another patrol? Another day in paradise," Miller said dryly before walking off. Jennings muttered something under his breath, but Daniel stood, slinging his rifle over his shoulder. "Come on, let's go." Inside the briefing tent, the air was thick with heat and anticipation. A map of the valley was pinned to the wall, marked with red circles and handwritten notes. Lieutenant Harper stood at the front, posture rigid, eyes sharp. "Intel reports increased insurgent activity along Route Sparrow," Harper said. "We're sending a convoy to check for IEDs and secure the area." "Hale, you're with Alpha Team." Daniel nodded, feeling the familiar mix of adrenaline and calm settle into his bones. Harper continued, "Stay alert. They've been getting bolder." After the briefing, the soldiers dispersed to gear up. Daniel tightened the straps on his vest, checked his ammo, and adjusted his helmet. Jennings nudged him. "You good?" "Yeah," Daniel said. "You?" Jennings smirked. "Always." They climbed into the MRAP, the metal interior already hot from the sun. Torres sat across from Daniel, tapping his foot nervously. "I hate this road," Torres muttered. Daniel offered him a steady look. "We'll be fine." The convoy rolled out, engines rumbling as they left the safety of the outpost. The valley stretched before them, vast, empty, silent. Too silent. Daniel scanned the horizon, eyes sharp, senses heightened. The mountains loomed like ancient sentinels, watching, waiting. Jennings broke the silence. "You ever think about home?" Daniel nodded. "Every day." "What do you miss most?" Daniel thought for a moment. "The creek." Jennings laughed softly. "The creek? Not your bed? Not a cold beer?" Daniel smiled. "Those too. But the creek, it was peaceful." Jennings shook his head. "Man, you're sentimental." "Maybe." The road narrowed as they entered a rocky pass. The air felt heavier. Daniel's grip tightened on his rifle. Torres swallowed hard. "I've got a bad feeling." Jennings rolled his eyes. "You always have a bad feeling." "No," Torres insisted. "This is different." Daniel opened his mouth to reassure him. Then he saw it. A glint, a shimmer, something half buried in the dirt ahead. His breath caught. "Stop," Daniel shouted. But the world moved faster than the words. A flash, white, blinding. A roar, deep and violent. A force, tearing metal, tearing earth, tearing everything apart. The MRAP lifted off the ground. Daniel felt himself thrown into the air, weightless, helpless, suspended between life and death. And then, darkness.
Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell. Don't miss any new chapters or stories. Thank you and enjoy.